All right, boss. So you took care of Tannenbaum. I just fired Gase. You told me to trade Tannehill. Can't do it yet. Playoffs are going on. Have to wait at least until after the season, but I will start making phone calls. And last but not least, finding a franchise quarterback. We need to talk about it. All right, here's the plan. We're currently at 13. Let's take all of our draft capital, including whatever we get for Tannehill, for the next 3 years, trade up in the top 3 to go ahead and get a quarterback. Listen, I'm going to be honest. It's going to be real hard to move from 13 into the top 3. I mean, you got Arizona. Josh Rosen did not have a great season. They're looking to move on after year 1. Then you got San Francisco. Jimmy G can't even get on the field. And then the Jets. They're not going to trade with us. I'm already hearing they're thinking about hiring Adam Gase. Gase. So they're tanking, huh? Don't they always tank? You got a point. I mean, so if we can't get a quarterback, what do you suggest we do? All right, so here's what I think we should do. Don't even worry about a quarterback this year. If we're not going to get the top 3 picks, we need to worry about the year after. Those quarterbacks are even better than this year's quarterbacks. I mean, you got Jordan Love, you got Tua Tagovailoa, you got Justin Herbert, you got Joe Burrow. I mean, you got a slew of some of the top prospects coming out better than this class and the class after. So forget about this year and let's focus on next year. Okay. Now, this year, what we'll do is we'll purge the roster, get as many assets as we can for the future draft capital, just in case we don't have the number 1 overall pick so that we can get a quarterback. Now, our goal is to have the number 1 overall pick, so we need to pick a coach that isn't expected to win early on. We're going to strip the roster, ask them to coach anyway, and then maybe we'll just get a filler quarterback like a Josh Rosen or something like that. I'm listening. So at the end of the day, we should have the worst roster in the NFL. We should have a bad quarterback, bring in like a journeyman to compete with them. And hey, let's lose games, man. And let's go get us a top quarterback. Now, all of that sounds good, but what kind of great coach is going to want to come in and tank? Well, the coaching search is the easy part. You got a point. You're not going to be able to find a great coach that's willing to lose for a whole year, all right? So what you need to do is bring in a brand new coach, one that doesn't have high expectations, but he might be a good coach. He might not. And on top of that, if we want to get rid of him in 2 to 3 years, we can do that. Oh, okay. So get a young coach that's willing to do what we need him to do. And if he, follows orders, we may keep him. And if he doesn't, we'll just get rid of him. Wait, I got one even better for you. You got to adhere to the Rooney Rule anyway. So we should bring in an African-American coach because that's going to be more draft assets. You see the new NFL rules. You get compensatory picks. You get all kind of picks. Matter of fact, we might as well load the front office with African-Americans as well. Get the picks. Man, Chris, you're a genius, man. This will be perfect. African-American coach. This will actually get rid of that fake story saying that I didn't want Mike Tomlin because he was too hip-hop. That actually happened the year before I got here. But for some reason, people think that it was me. Listen, this will also go a long way with that whole narrative about you and all the other owners being racist. Of course, here I am being called a racist when I've set up and spent more money than any individual in this entire country to fight things like racism. But hey, it is what it is. Well, I mean, it's not always about how much money you spend. It's about your actions. That's why making this move and bringing in an African-American coach and some people in the front office, it'll go a long way. All right, so do you have any coaches in mind yet? You already got a list of several coaches that we can look into. The 3 African-Americans would be Eric Bieniemy over in Kansas City. You got Brian Flores in New England. You also got Chris Richards in Dallas. They just got knocked out of the playoffs last weekend. So Eric and Brian are still in the playoffs, so we're going to need permission to actually interview them. Also, I was thinking, the Rooney Rule requires you to at least interview African-American coaches. Since we were looking for an African-American coach, we should also interview a few Caucasian white coaches as well. I mean, I think we should do 2 in-house, Darren Rizzi and Dow Logans, and then 1 outside, Vic Fangio. We'll bring them in, get to know them, and it's all a formality because, we already know what we want to do. That whole formality thing doesn't sit right with me. Just interviewing Caucasian coaches just to meet a quota. I just don't think that's fair. I think everybody we interview should have a fair opportunity. Exactly. See, that's what a lot of African-American coaches have had to deal with for several years, being brought in for interviews, but they never really had a chance to get the job. It was always a formality. So it really just hasn't been fair. I guess you're right. So I would just say bring all those guys in, interview them all, let the best man win the job, and let's just hope that it's an African-American. I got you, boss. Well, hey, may the best man win.